This is Pivot Perspectives with Chris O'Byrne, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they've learned on their road to success, and get exclusive access on how to implement their success into your life and business. Pivot Perspectives is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Chris O'Byrne.
Hey, are you looking to scale your business from 5 figures to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures? If you are, I have the perfect thing for you. What I want you to do today is I want you to go download a book. This book is going to take you through my 3-pillar system. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to growfast.cash. I say again, go to growfast.cash, and you're going to be able to download my free international best-selling book, which is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. You can take that book. It's going to help you scale your business to the next level. Again, go download it. Be good, be brief, be gone. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. Enjoy.
Greg Hock, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
I would like to ask you, how did you get started in accounting in the first place? What drove you into that? And then how did your career develop along the way?
Well, it wasn't something I planned. I actually don't even have a degree in accounting. I have an undergrad in economics and a bachelor's in economics. And I worked a couple of years and went back to grad school and got an MBA with a focus on finance. And one of the things that I've kind of learned along the way during that education was that an accounting background, being a CPA, was something that was pretty beneficial if you wanted to pursue a career in finance. So I decided to take enough classes that I could sit for the CPA exam, and I passed it and went to work for one of the big 8 at the time, now one of the big 4 in their tax department in San Francisco. And I loved doing tax returns and tax planning and all things related. So you kind of get going, and sometimes people call it pigeonholed. You get to a certain level and it's hard to go back in terms of starting over, but I just loved it and stayed in it.
So then how did your career move from that point on? Because you clearly became much more entrepreneurial along the way.
So my dad had his own business by that point in my life, and he seemed to be enjoying it, compared to working in the corporate world, which he had done for decades. And in California, you have to have 2 years experience with a big firm or with another firm to get hours in to be certified. Back in those days, it's changed now, but back in those days, there was only one type of CPA license. So you were licensed to do anything a CPA could do, whether it was audit work, other kind of attest work, or what have you. So I got those hours in and actually went to work for short times for 2 different firms. One was a client of the national firm that I was with. And then I went to work for my previous boss at the accounting firm in a technology company as an assistant treasurer. And then eventually got together with 2 other people that I knew from Deloitte. They were both audit account. They were auditors, not tax people. And we started our own firm back in 1985 or so on the San Francisco Peninsula, about 20 miles south of San Francisco.
And then how long did that firm go, or is it still going?
So it's in the accounting profession, you would say it's still going. So we started a firm. We ended up acquiring 2 firms, coincidentally on the same day. It wasn't something we planned for. After about a year in, we acquired these two firms, and just kind of took off from there. And then over the years, you kind of, partners come, partners go. Those two partners eventually went off on their own. So to some respect, their firms kept going, but our firm kept going with the clients that we had, and changed names, and new partners came in and changed names, and partners left. And eventually I just decided to do it on my own. So for the probably, I don't know, the last at least decade, I've never really plotted this out, maybe 15 years, I was a sole proprietor and had several employees. And we got up to about, as a sole proprietor, we got up to about 3 million in revenue and had about 20 people, and maybe 15 people. And then one of my employees who I brought in with the idea, both his idea and my idea, that he would eventually be my successor. And he became a partner about 7 years ago. I'm really guessing at these years, but at these time frames. But he became a minority partner, and we built the firm up to about 5.5 million and 24 people during the kind of going into the pandemic time. And then at the end of 2023, he purchased my interest, and I'm no longer a partner there or an employee. I'm a consultant to the firm now, kind of in a reasonably full-time capacity, but that's what I'm doing currently. And it's a lot of fun doing what I like to do and having someone else do the parts of the management that work.
Yes. So then what happened during COVID? What did you see? How did it affect your firm, and how did you see it affect other accountants?
So during COVID, we had all of the problems everybody had, right? You had to move people home. Everybody was dealing with the unknown, the uncertainty. Our firm was really well placed to work from home. We had been operating in the cloud. Going into COVID, we had 5 different office locations, and in addition, a couple of employees already working remotely who lived on the East Coast. So it really was not a big endeavor to move all of our employees home. The challenge in the accounting profession at that time, I think, was more just the disruption, because it was the middle of tax season. And so here we are, it's March of 2020, and we're all working tax season hours. And, in California, they had these stay-at-home orders unless you were an essential employee. And we just kind of took the position that we were essential because people needed taxes and they needed payroll to be done, right? So we didn't have any problem if people wanted to come in, but the offices were closed. And, when we have a lot of clients that are older and are used to just bringing in their files and their paper. So that was a big transition for them, was learning how to scan and upload information. So it kind of started accelerating the process. But remember back then, the process of going online with everything and being totally in the cloud. But remember, the problem was during that tax season was we were being told and truly thought this thing was going to be done in 2 weeks and 3 weeks and then 2 weeks. And then, and of course It wasn't. So we weren't trying to put permanent changes in place at first because we thought we'd just get back to normal. And then, the IRS shut down. And so that created a lot of unexpected issues for all accounting firms. And then, everybody is dealing with their own issues with COVID. The people, what I saw in our firm was the people who were working from home, some flourished. I think I did. Just saving that drive time, because we have so many offices, I was saving many hours a week and not driving. But then you had the people working at home You can tell by looking at me that I probably don't have young kids, and that would be a correct assumption. But other people did, and their kids were home, schools were closed, really distracting. So the workplace really changed, became very, very different. It was a very different tax season.
Now, you went on to write a book called 800 Days. Over 300,000 accountants quit during the pandemic. Here's our story. What was the motivation to write that book in the first place?
The motivation was that I wanted a way to tell our clients or help our clients understand what we were going through. And by that, the part of it that they don't see is all of the legislative, just the new laws that were coming through the pipeline were just hitting us every day. And if you try to explain, I think as accountants are an interesting group. We don't like to complain to our clients. We don't like to, we love our clients. I mean, every accountant I know really has a special place in their heart for their clients. But I think that at some point, at that point in time, I didn't realize that 20% of the professionals were going to exit the profession in the next couple of years. We were just feeling all the pressure. So just to give you some examples of what we were dealing with, if rewind back to 2020, and the IRS said we're going to delay the due date until May, and then I think July. I don't remember specifically the order, but when that happens, people think, oh, you've got an extra couple of months to do your work and get your job done. But it just doesn't work that way, because just at that point in time, we didn't know if California was going to have the same extension. The feds came out with it, but states all have their own set of tax laws. The IRS changes a law. It doesn't change anything for California or for a lot of states. So we didn't know what the deadline really was, because if California returns were still due, then we still had to get the federal returns done, because they all start with the federal numbers. And then additionally, our clients, like I think most accounting firms have clients who have to report in multiple states because they have rental properties or business interests. So if any of those states don't extend the deadline, you really still have to get it all done by April 15th. And we didn't know. It wasn't, we were just waiting, are the states. And do these deadlines change for the estimated taxes? And do they change for all the other things that are also due April 15th? We didn't know. So we had this huge unknown going on. And then, the other thing that people don't think about is, in the tax world, a lot of people take a really nice vacation after April 15th. And our staff was sitting there wondering, well, if the deadline is now July, I've got this deposit on this resort in Mexico I'm going to first 2 weeks of May. Can I go? And of course, some of us, me at that time, I'm thinking, you're not going to go anyway, because the pandemic's still going to be going on. But there was so much uncertainty with life and every aspect of life, and just getting hand sanitizer at the grocery store and all those things. So it was a crazy time. But the impact of the legislation on our profession was really, I think, was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because it just didn't stop, and you didn't have answers. And accountants are often pretty black and white thinkers, and we needed definitive answers, and there just weren't any. So I wrote the book with the idea that I'd give it out to my clients and they could read it and kind of understand a little bit of why we got behind and why they weren't getting their tax returns as quickly as they'd like, or maybe phone calls as responded to as quickly as they've been used to for so many years.
Of those, that's a significant number of accountants who quit. Did very many of them or any of them come back into the profession, or were they gone?
I attend the American Institute of CPAs does this wonderful broadcast every other week now called the Town Hall, and I pretty much I don't miss any of them. So I have not heard that people are coming back. So when they say they left the profession, they're not saying they left their jobs and went to another accounting firm. They left the profession. And that could mean going into industry, So if I quit my job as a public accountant and went to work for a big tech firm as a controller, I left the profession. I mean, so that's when we talk about leaving the profession, that's what we're talking about. So no, I don't think these people have come back because it hasn't gotten any better, frankly. I mean, the COVID's gone, so that aspect of it has. But we're still unraveling so many things, and I think that these professionals left and felt they had a better balance in their life, work-life balance, and I'm not hearing that they're coming back. And the problem's exacerbated in the education system, the university system, because the number of people going into accounting has dropped significantly. These kids look at what is my life going to be like if I choose this path versus that path. And for some time now, they're reading the same articles I'm reading about people leaving accounting and why, and they're saying, well, I think I'll find something else. So the profession's working hard at trying to make changes to get that back, get those people back.
Are businesses struggling to find accountants to handle their taxes now?
Well, and accounting, I think the public doesn't realize. I mean, I'm a tax guy. I do taxes, and our firm does some attest work audits and so on. But the vast majority of accounting work in the United States is not tax work. I mean, when I was with the Big Four firm, used to be Big Eight, it was like 20% of the staff, I think, were in the tax department, and 80% of the accountants were in the other departments, which were primarily at that time the attest work audits and so on. So, the U.S. economy, the market system, the stock markets, everything else rely on accountants because, when they have these earnings reports and all of these things are audited by CPAs, auditors, and it's just a huge industry. And I have read articles that there were firms that were recently notifying the SEC that they were going to be late with some of their required reporting because they were understaffed and having trouble finding people.
Have the authorities been understanding of that?
I don't. Not really. They will be. They're. So, for example, our profession has a great group of people that lobby for us. They're in Washington and talking probably daily to these people. And one thing that came up during the pandemic was that the small business. So you may remember the PPP loans. The payroll protection program loans, which was a fabulous program. I think to some extent it saved the economy, but we'll never know what would happen if they hadn't done it. But they had all these loans, and everybody was getting these loans. And at one point, the Small Business Associations said, we're going to require audits of about 300,000 of these loan recipients by May. It was a few months out, and our profession just went to them and just said, there is nobody to do these audits. I mean, the people just aren't there. And so, you know, I don't think the legislator, people don't understand what we go through. And accountants, I mean, you don't want to complain about having a lot of work, because having a lot of work is a blessing, right? I mean, it's a good place to be. And it's good work. There's just an oversupply of work and an undersupply of people to do the work. And until it gets to be something that is truly problematic, I mean, up to this point, I mean, most accountants, you know what they do when they have too much work? They just stay at work and they just keep working. And that's how my generation was brought up. You just got the work. You figured out how to get the work done. And I believe that is going to change. I believe that there are going to be issues with the work getting done. You start to see some issues, you know, with the quality of the work when you see things in the paper about, you know, this accounting firm got fined because their audit was inadequate. So I don't think they're being sympathetic to it now. Certainly not to the degree we need them to be. I don't know that there's really, I don't know what they could do. I mean, I have my suggestions. I mean, I can come up with my list of what I would love to see them do. You know, I'd love to write a book about it someday, because I think it'd be fascinating. But there are things they could do, but they would be huge undertakings to get them done. And, you know, like, for example, you know, why not just have if all the states had the same laws, you know, that would be, or if all the states just had the same laws as the IRS, that would be huge time saver, you know, but good luck, you know. I mean, the states have the right to do whatever they want, and they have different political motivations, and they have different cultures in their states and different interests. And so, you know, there are things they could do. And I mentioned in the book, and I really believe this, that the problem, it was death by 1,000 cuts. It's a lot of little problems, a lot of little irritations that add up to the big problem. And I think the solution is going to be the same. I think it's going to be a lot of things. I think artificial intelligence will help solve part of it. On the other hand, I think artificial intelligence is going to create a lot more work for accountants. So, you know, who's to say what that balance is going to be, or where that's going to fall out?
Looking to grow your business beyond 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures plus? What I want you to do is go download this book. The title is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. It will help you grow your business past 5, 6, and 7 figure. Go download the book today. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and download the book for absolutely free.
Yeah. So tell me more about your newest endeavor, RX for Tax.
Well, the young man that took over my accounting practice used to always say, come to me with your problems, but bring an answer. Bring a potential solution along with you. So when I got to the end of the book, I thought, well, I've done a lot of complaining here, and I hope to be part of the solution someday. I don't know what, I didn't at the time have an idea of what that was going to be. But one thing I've always wanted to do was create videos to explain things to clients, because accountants have the same conversations with 100 different clients, you know, who have the same question or the same answer, right? So if I could put that answer into some sort of video or podcast or what have you, you know, you send out a newsletter, people don't read them. They don't want to spend the time reading them. And a lot of people, you know, say, I don't want to understand this stuff. That's what I have you for. But I think that a lot of people will benefit from getting information. And so the idea that I came up with the help of a consultant that was kind of helping me along this process was to create animated videos that incorporate my ability to understand the laws and communicate with my clients how the laws may or may not impact them. Because every client is unique. Their situations differ, their personalities differ, their needs differ, their goals differ. And so that's the value that I always found in the accounting world was, or as an accountant, I tried to communicate to my clients that if you've got somebody who knows the laws, understands you and your situation, and cares about you, it's a really valuable resource to have. And so what I've tried to do with these videos is at a very high level, give a 10-minute video for accountants to send out to their clients that is animated. So I'm not in the videos. It's not my voice. It's not, so there's no competing accountant there getting in front of their clients. It's a comic, it's a cartoon or what have you. And
Right.
explaining, kind of half of them are I could call legacy issues. They're issues that just never go away. For example, we just completed the script for one that's called what is taxable? What does the IRS consider to be taxable income? And they're topics that people don't think about, but when you start understanding them, and so it kind of gives people some answers to questions. The idea is to enable accountants to kind of get out in front of their clients and say, hey, this is something you might find useful, and inform their clients in a way that helps them. 90% of clients, I don't cut out this part of the video. A large number of clients hear things in the news or from their friends or read it in the paper or on the internet, of course, and they'll pick up the phone or shoot an email to their accountant. And maybe half of them, it doesn't apply to them. And so if this video can inform those people and give them enough knowledge to discern whether or not this thing they heard is true, whether it really applies for them, affects them, and it eliminates some of those unnecessary calls and emails, that saves accountants time. And typically in smaller practices, those calls and emails with general questions where you say, no, this doesn't apply to you. I never billed for them. So it's saving time, but it's also saving unbillable time, which is not productive. The other thing we're trying to do is to educate the other people that it may apply to on what information they should have ready before they contact their tax advisor, so that maybe we get 4 or 5 back and forth emails or calls about questions and other information. They can have it ready on the first contact and make the call much more efficient. And also, and I think this is a big intangible in the videos, is just helping educate clients that none of these questions are what they call quick questions. There is no such thing because everybody's unique. Now, it may be something the accountant can answer quickly because he already knows the client, but try answering that question for somebody that you don't know anything about. And there are always a dozen questions that I'm going to ask to find out if this is really something, or because it's not just the right answer, it's the best answer that you're trying to get for our clients, and everybody's trying to get for their clients.
So it sounds like, to me, when you describe this as a business owner who is not an accountant, It sounds like there's a lot of valuable information in there that I could use, one, to work with accountants, but two, just to understand finances, how it affects my taxes, how to, well, how to have a better business by understanding a topic that, let's face it, a lot of business owners are a little oblivious of, mostly on purpose, because it feels overwhelming.
Exactly. I'll give you an example today, and this could be different tomorrow. Um, I don't know, Chris, the structure of your business, but I'm going to guess that you have some sort of corporate entity, LLC, something like that.
Yes.
And this is a hot topic, and very few people that I've talked to in the general public business world even know it exists. But there is a new filing requirement. It is not an IRS requirement. It's under FinCEN, which is also under the Department of Treasury, but it's not a department accountants work with. And your business is now required to register online. You can't do it by paper, with FinCEN, and it's called a beneficial ownership interest. They want to know who the beneficial owners and who have high-level decision-making capability in your organization. Now, for an entity that was created before 2024, this isn't due until January 1 of 2025. So for most people, they're not worrying about it right now. So accountants are in a position, there's a huge debate going on and discussion and everything else about whether helping clients do these filings is the practice of law. We, as in the accounting profession or in any profession, if you're not an attorney, you are not allowed to practice law. And so accountants are really shying away from this, and the accounting profession is trying to work with the government and the states and because that's really a state issue, the practice of law, and try to get some clarity, because they realize accountants are really in a unique position to help their clients with this, but they don't want to touch it because of the liability. And where the liability is created is that beginning next year, if the way the law is written today is if you change something about your business, if you have a new decision maker, you hire a new CEO, you have 30 days to update that website information, or it's a $500 a day fine if you willfully don't do it. And if you, let's say you went out and acquired a new rental property this year, 2024, and you formed an LLC to own that rental property, you were required to register that new entity within 90 days this year. They extended the 30 days to 90 days for the first year. And I know every accountant in this country has a client who has created an entity in 2024 who has not filed. And once that 90 days has passed, which for anybody who created an entity in the first quarter of the year, it's passed, they are unknowingly accruing $500 a day penalty. So we're up to 5 digits for a lot of them already. So that's one of our videos. And the video is structured in a way that accountants can, we've got 2 versions. One is, hey, we want you to know about this, but we're not doing this because we consider it the practice of law. And another one that says, hey, contact us if you want help with it. But the idea, the benefit to the accounting firms that are our clients, our customers, is if somebody ever gets hit with these penalties, or more likely they're just going to find out about it after the fact and then call, and at least we can, the accountants can look their clients in the eye and say, well, I sent that email to you, in August that explained this. Did you look at it? Did you consider it at that time? Because all of this was explained. So you just want to, it's a complicated world. This is another thing that complicates it. So these are the things that we want to get out timely in front of all of our clients, because accountants, when the laws change, I know I'm rambling, but when laws change, you don't understand the implications when they first come out. I mean, we get information on the new law, but nobody knows the unintended consequences. Who's it really going to hit? And those things are mulled over, and the thought leaders are always researching them and evaluating, and then they give us classes, and weeks and months are going by, and we're trying to learn it. And then we're trying to figure out which of our clients this might apply to. And then we have to communicate it to them. And these things are just happening all the time. So that's one of the purposes of RX for Tax in these videos, is to eliminate a lot of that time by getting something out that clients hopefully will enjoy and find useful and informative.
So where can people go to sign up for this, learn more about it? How does that process work?
So rxfortax.com is our website. We are primarily focused on distributing this through tax professionals. So it's quite simple. We just send them an email every month with the latest video, and they just turn around and send it all out, label it however they want, present it any way they want to their clients, and just send it on. And then their clients will click on a link and they can see the videos. We're open to the idea that individuals could sign up for this for a small fee, and just get it directly as individuals. It's not something that we're marketing right now. We're focused on firms, but that if somebody wants that there is or will be shortly a way for John Smith, taxpayer, who says, really, I'd love to get these. The better way would be for you to contact your tax advisor and tell them to get it and send it to them, because then they won't have to pay for it. And the cost per recipient is so much cheaper when we're selling it to one firm, for whatever, $300 a month, and they're sending it out to 1,000 people, than charging an individual $10 or something like that.
Right.
The scalability is really different.
So as we wrap things up, do you have any parting words of wisdom that you can share, either for the tax professional or accountant, or for business owners in general?
I think my advice would be to have patience for your tax professional with everything they've been going through. If you want to understand it a little better, you can read the book, 800 Days. The title comes from the fact that at 800 days after the start of the pandemic, I realized I hadn't had a day off in 800 days. And I went to a conference and asked several people. The question I asked was, since March of 2020, how many days have you had off from work? And universally, the answer I got was 0.
Wow.
And I guess, and I think, to professionals, I love our profession. I truly love it. The people are terrific, really enjoyable to work with, and they're working hard at the national level to work with the government agencies and the universities and across the board to try to, get help and just see what you can do and stick with it and keep doing what you love doing.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all of this with us.
Really enjoyed it, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Hey, we all want to scale our business. Hey, I have the answer for you today to help you do that. If you're looking to scale from 5, 6, even 7 figures and beyond, book called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. I'm going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is type in growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and you can download the book for absolutely free. I hope the book helps you this year. Take your business to the next level. Again, go grab the book, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. I wish you the best and grow, scale, and win.
Thanks for listening to Pivot Perspectives with your host, Chris O'Byrne. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advice on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear